Get it going.
Hi, it's me again, Queen Yoga Bee, Sherry Cope. I'm here to offer another lesson, and this one involves people that need to sit in chairs. It can also be for my Easy Bee class. So people that want to do yoga in a chair obviously have trouble getting up and down off the ground. Maybe they have knee issues, hip issues, for whatever reason. Um, so I want to talk to you first about my website. And if you want to find out more information about me, you go to yoga-bees.com. So I don't have to tell you more about my credentials here. So, first of all, why do I call my class Easy Bees? I call my class Easy Bees instead of beginner because some people choose to stay at that level forever. And the first thing we need to do is to set an intention for your class. So, step one, here we are seated in our chair, and I want you to think about why you're here. Why are you taking this class? Why are you paying attention to what you're doing right now? Well, it could be you want to be physically stronger and have better balance. It could be that you want to work on your emotions. It could be that you want to work on getting rid of all the monkey business that keeps coming in and out of your brain. Whatever your intention is, you're going to work to your edge. So your edge is not too easy, not too hard, just right. We can thank Baby Bear from Goldilocks and the Three Bears for that quote. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is concentrate on your breath. If you can close your eyes unless you need to watch me. And we're going to inhale and exhale. That's one breath. We're going to do it through your nose. Make it long and slow and smooth. Try to make your inhale and your exhale the same length. Listen to your breath and see if you can make it sound like ocean waves. That's called Ujjayi breath. Counting your breaths is going to be very important. So remember, an inhale and an exhale is one breath. So the very first thing we're going to start with is a wide seat. So I'm on my chair and I'm going to come all the way forward so that my sit bones are just hanging off the very front edge. You may need to have a hold of the chair just for stability. You're going to make your legs fairly wide. It doesn't have to be terrible. You can also bend your knees. So it's just wide seated forward fold, but I want you to create some space. So here's how we do that. Put your hands in Anjali Mudra, which is prayer pose. Inhale and extend your arms up. Now, whether you keep them together or extended like this, it really doesn't matter to me. What I'm trying to do is have you create space here. So you want to have space. Feel like you have space between your vertebrae. Feel like you're making space between your ribs. Feel like you've created some space between the bottom of your ribs and that hip crest right here. The best time to create that space is on the inhale, but even on the exhale, you don't collapse. So after we've created the space and we've been here for about 10 breaths, we'll pretend, because you can go back and do this later. On my next exhale, I'm going to forward fold. So when you forward fold, maybe you want to stop right here. So why do I have my hands on my knees and not here? Because I didn't want to change the shape of my spine. Remember, I created space. I've got space going here and space between here and space between my ribs. So I want to keep that space. So this is very similar to having what most yogis call a flat back. Again, I want you to breathe and stay here for about 10 breaths, but the amount of time you stay in each pose is pretty much up to you. Remember, we're always trying to work toward that Goldilocks edge or your edge, not too easy, not too hard, just right. So after we've been here for 10 breaths, on your next exhale, I'm going to go down as far as I can, and this time I'm going to forward fold like a rag doll. So you may have to have some props. There's no way you're going to get your head on the ground from the chair, but you might be able to get your head on the blocks or put your hands on blocks. So on the exhale, I'm going to put my hands on my blocks and just let my spine change its shape, and I'm pretty much hanging like a rag doll. So if I need the blocks for stability, no problem. I can reduce it to one block. I can even put my hands on the floor, and I'm just hanging. What I'm trying to do here is do a mild inversion. That means I want my head lower than my heart. It gives your heart a break. Your heart constantly has to pump new blood into your brain against gravity. The minute you put your head below your heart, it makes it easier. And who doesn't want fresh blood in their brain anyway? So you're going to hold this pose, like a rag doll, for 10 breaths. Give or take a few, depending on what works for you. Coming up, I want you to be mindful about it. Pay attention. So you're going to inhale, come up. Maybe you want to come up one vertebrae at a time, kind of like a snake. Maybe you want to put your hands on your thighs and help yourself up. It really doesn't matter, whatever works for you. Your next pose is sage twist. So I'm going to have to scoot you back so I have room for my foot. And you may not be able to get your foot higher and up here like this. Maybe what you need to do is put your foot on some blocks. Whatever works for you. I'm going to put my foot up here and sit back so I have room for my foot. And all I'm going to do is take my opposite hand and grab a hold of my knee, and then I'm going to twist. So what does this hand do? Well, it can hang on here, or you can drape it all the way around the back of your chair and add to that twist. So I like to inhale and think about my nice tall spine, again, creating space. And on the exhale, I do the twist. I'm twisting my entire torso. I don't try to get my chin pointing toward the back wall. I'm letting my torso twist and my head follows. So I'm going to stay here for 10 breaths, about whatever your target is. And of course, we have the other side to do. So just briefly, a little reminder about how you do it. This time I'm going to put my foot here. And your sides are not going to be equal either. So it's inhale. Think about making space. Exhale. Enjoy the twist. So this is called sage twist, obviously. 10 breaths on each side would be great. Your next pose is cat. So cat with the chair is exactly like downward facing dog with the chair. So cat with the chair, I'm going to have my hands here and have my feet about underneath my hips, which makes it a little bit different than downward facing dog. But this is cat in neutral. So if I want to make my Halloween cat pose, I just arch my back like a Halloween cat. And if I want to turn this into cow, I let my belly drape and I look up. So this is a nice moving pose. So I'm going to inhale when I'm here and exhale when I'm here. Or the opposite. It doesn't matter. Maybe you want to inhale in cow, which is my favorite. Exhale in cat. So we're going to do 10 rounds of this. I'm going to inhale cow. Look up. Exhale cat. So notice how my spine changes, how my head changes, how my pelvis tips, how my arms work. So 10 rounds of cat-cow. So your next pose is mountain. So let's remove the chair out of the way for a minute. So mountain pose, you're just going to be grounded. So what I want you may have to hang on to the chair still, or the wall. I like to use it like a ballet bar out to the side. So I'm going to ground myself. I'm going to roll my toes up and set them down nice and wide so I can see daylight in between them. And I'm going to think about the connection that my body has with the earth. I'm even going to draw up energy from the earth. Whatever you want to imagine or pretend, I go clear to the center of the earth and I draw up energy through my feet all the way up to my crown. Maybe you want to concentrate on being centered. So your center can be your belly, your heart, even your brain. However, people that are centered in their brain tend to do a lot of thinking, which doesn't give your brain a rest. So whatever that centeredness is, concentrate on that. That's where you hold your spirit, your emotional center. Inhale and draw some energy up. So obviously, if I'm hanging onto the chair, I can only inhale and put one of my hands up, otherwise I lose the chair, right? If you feel stable enough, you can raise both arms. I very rarely put my hands together because it scrunches my shoulders, but sometimes I start here and then go up to here. Another trick would be, so I want both hands up, but I'm afraid I'm going to tip over. So you can always back up to a wall or someplace where you feel more stable, and you can just lean on it. So we've got our hands up here. It's for quite a bit, 10 breaths. You're going to inhale and feel that space again. Exhale, don't totally collapse, but just relax a little bit. 10 breaths if you can. So this is mountain pose, Tadasana. Your next pose, it has two parts to it, one foot and then the other foot, and it's tree pose. So it's fairly easy to do, but you're standing on one foot. So you have to ground that foot. Remember, you're imagining connecting to the earth. The other foot can be anywhere you want. It can be here. It can be here. I skip the knee. You can even be way up here if you want, and you can hang on to it because I'm hanging onto the chair. Don't have to worry about balancing. However, if you want to test and strengthen your balance, maybe you want to be right here and try to not hang onto the chair. You can also lean against the wall. So what do your tree limbs do? What do your branches do? Well, in my class, your tree gets to do anything at once. So I try to have your knee out in tree pose. It's good for your hips to stretch, but if you can't do it for some reason, it's okay to have your knee more in. Arms. So do your arms have to look alike? It does help your balance if you have both arms up, but you don't have to. That's just me. You can have your arms out, you can have your hands on your hips. Whatever you decide to do, it's 10 breaths or close to it for each leg. So that's tree pose. That's okay, he can come on. This is my cat. So both sides, tree pose. And then I'm going to have you do Fairy Princess, which involves the chair. And I'll try not to squish my cat. So Fairy Princess, again, I sit on the edge of my chair. And actually what I'm doing is I'm practicing tilting my pelvis one way and the other. I'm practicing curving my spine one way and the other. My shoulder blades do the same thing. Biggest range of motion I can get. So the first part of it, the inhale, hang on to the side of the chair, and I'm pretty much at the edge. I'm going to inhale, put my fairy wings back, tip my shoulder blades, pinch them together, and look at the sky or the ceiling. I'm going to exhale and roll forward. So I'm pretty much not doing anything with my legs, but that doesn't mean you can't let your feet participate. You can flex. So remember, there's a breath, and it's moving, and your breath is slow. So I'm inhaling and exhaling. So 10 breaths, or as close to it as you can. So your last pose is Savasana. So Savasana, or Shavasana, depending on who your yoga teacher is or how they spell it. I always say Savasana because that's how I was taught. So Savasana means corpse pose. I don't use corpse pose. And obviously Savasana is meant to, if you're a corpse, you're laying on your yoga mat. Well, if you're a student who has a hard time getting up and down off the floor, you're gonna have to be a corpse pose sitting in a chair. So Savasana. I'm just going to encourage you to not lean back on your chair. Sit up as straight and as comfortably as you can because we're working on your posture too. And put your hands in your laps. I like to have my palms open because I receive energy better through my palms. My feet are flat on the floor. So the important thing to do in Savasana is to close your eyes and pay attention once again to that ocean breath, that Ujjayi breath. So it's going to be long and slow and wonderful. Now, you cannot count your breaths because you're going to be here for 5 minutes or close to it. So yeah, you need a timer. Guess I should have told you that at the very beginning. So after 5 minutes, whenever your timer goes off, oven timers work, egg timers work, whatever works, then just say namaste to the world, the universe. If you can, remember to subscribe to my channel. that will help me keep the show on the road. Because right now we have a crisis and people can't come to yoga class, and I know there are people out there that want to do yoga and have never been to my class or a class, so I think this is a good place to start. So I welcome you, I thank you. Even if you don't subscribe, at least push the like button. That would be so wonderful. Namaste.